Okay, so what I did then is I just have notes from today, okay, since we really are looking at, here, I made you a hard copy. Since we're looking at the readers, the literature discussion group, okay?
Right.
So, I didn't get to, what's that?
Like a hot mess at first with like, no one being ready, and then phone calls, and that
two
was
phone
like,
calls.
oh my gosh.
I was
like,
even here
really?
10 minutes, yeah,
yes,
2 phone calls.
Yes, which my phone like hardly rings.
And you just have to go with it.
Yeah.
That's all you do.
Yeah, we're going
so
with the flow.
yeah, so you had that mini lesson on inferences, right? Then yeah,
Yes.
you made sure everybody was, and that's why you were making sure everybody was settled, right? You
yeah.
just, get their because
Yes.
if they don't have their independence,
Right,
going.
I can't get a group going.
Yeah, exactly.
And Sebastian too has been another one that I'm having to like do a checklist.
well, so you've got a lot of balls in the air, right?
yeah.
And so you got to get all those settled,
Right,
and then you can
yeah.
think about the group.
Yes.
So then with the group lesson, how do you feel that went?
Well, I mean, then with them not being prepared at all,
Right.
it was that threw another wrench into the works. But I think, did Cole finish his with
He
you
did,
today?
yeah.
And so that's what I assumed. And then Rylan came back and showed me his,
Yeah.
and we could talk about it real quick. But yeah, and I just kept on the pattern that we did of reading the 2 chapters and then have them read a chapter.
Yeah.
Do you think, does that feel like a good pattern to keep with them? Or I think maybe even now the next time that they have a little bit more, maybe 2 chapters to read,
Yeah.
or do you think just stay with this sequence? I don't know.
What are you thinking?
Because I feel, especially even with like Rylan and Cole, I think if it was Isaac and Jacob, they could probably do more. But I don't know, like it seems like so little that is being asked of them, but I think for them to even retain that little bit, that maybe that might be the most beneficial, is just for them to do the 1 chapter and come back.
Well, it's interesting because at first I was going to say, well, they probably could take on a little bit more, but you know what? You know those kiddos better than I do, and it's kind of like they're split right down the middle.
are.
2 could, 2 couldn't. So I think go with your gut and maybe just keep that pattern going.
Right, yeah.
And I did make a comment in the notes too that, I mean, I feel like it is working
Right.
because they're laughing as you're
Right,
reading, they're
yes.
nodding, they contribute, so they're
Yep.
getting it,
Right.
which was the issue in the beginning. They weren't
Yes,
getting
which
it.
I don't think they would have, gotten that at all if.
And then they did
Yes.
go and they read it,
Yep.
that 1 chapter. So
Yep.
we're just trying to
Right.
build that self-regulatory, I can go do this and get it
Yes.
done and understand what I've read and come back and
Right.
talk about it. So
Yeah.
I think
Okay,
you
then
just,
I'm gonna stick with that then.
okay,
Even if it takes us a little bit longer to get through the book. But,
right. Because like we said, that less is more and
Right,
slow to
right,
fast and all that good stuff. Yeah.
And at least, just getting that routine and foundation for what LGD groups look like, and to hopefully get them in that routine. And
Yeah, I think you
Yeah.
just hit the nail on the head right there, because I think
Yeah.
it is. It's like getting that routine
Yeah.
going, because otherwise
Yeah, 'cause
they don't
we
have the
gotta-
structure
I
and they just fall
know.
apart.
We have a whole year.
Right, so better slow now, right?
Right,
Yeah, no, I
yeah.
think it's good. I think it's good. Yeah, so
Okay.
anything else with, then you just went on. They didn't have the thoughtful log ready.
Right.
And you just
Mhm.
then went
Yep.
in right to the next section.
Right. I mean,
So,
would you have done anything? Like at that point, I'm like, well, it makes no sense for Isaac just to read his, and I
Yeah.
thought I want to see what
Right,
they write before
right.
we discuss it.
yeah,
Because then I felt like if we would have discussed it, maybe they wouldn't have pertained it to be able to just write that down. But I
Sure.
also wanted their thoughts without it being from the discussion.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's why I didn't.
no, I think that was good, because you didn't want to waste their time. You don't want just
Right.
Isaac, and you want everybody to do the writing. So you just went on, so that, because that was your time to meet, and so you went
Right.
on. So one thing how did they do then when they went back and they did the thoughtful log? How did they do?
I haven't. Jacob was working with Kelly, so I know they got it done, but I didn't get to. Rylan's it was pretty good, and he had evidence from the
Okay,
book, and
okay.
so that was good. So yeah.
Well, one thing I did do with Cole, and I was
Mhm.
able to do it because Mira had to catch up on something
Oh, sure.
else that I was doing. Well, she missed on Friday, so I was
Right.
letting her do that. So while she was doing that, I just worked
Sure.
with Cole.
Mhm.
And one thing that I did with him, and I do a lot with interventions, is we made a plan. Okay,
Sure.
what are you going to write about?
Yeah.
I don't know. Is his log here? I can even just show you.
It should be, and
And he had some really good thinking. So
and just listening to his discussion too, like he's
right. So there was one character said, "Who do you want to do?" And he wrote, and so I did write this. I
Right,
said, "Just
yeah.
tell me what it is," because I
Yeah.
want him to be able to plan on his own,
Right.
but he could articulate it, but then it's a whole other thing than getting it on the
Right,
paper.
exactly.
But he wanted to be Eleanor, and then he described what she was, that she's happy, nice. Those were the first two.
Sure.
And then I said, well, how do you know she's happy? Because that's the text evidence, right?
yeah.
So I put that up there. How do you know? And, well, he got 4 dogs and a cat. I mean, that will make anybody happy is kind of what he's thinking. And nice because of how she was treating the other people in the story and the dogs. And then this is what he came up with. He said, and what is the other thing? How do you say that? It's like she doesn't always understand because she's so young or she's so little.
Oh, I like
You know, and I said,
that.
what do you mean by that? And she said, well, she doesn't get why Dad left. You know, I thought that was like, wow.
Yes,
It's okay, that's
absolutely.
exactly what you need to write. And then he did this. He just
Great.
like took his time with it and did it. So
Good.
one thing, and I did write this here in my notes, one thing I am wondering about is if the thoughtful log is an issue, I would spend time planning with them. And I use this as a plan page. This side
Right.
over here is the plan
Yeah.
page, and you can look at it so you can do
Yeah.
some writing. And I found that to be really helpful
Right.
with our kiddos that are not yet there with their writing about their reading.
Yeah.
And even if together you do a plan and they use your
Right,
plan
right.
first, you know, just that whole gradual release part again.
Right.
And oh shoot, I have my Shaping Literate Minds is holding my. I was going to turn to page 11 and but I wrote it down here.
Okay,
but there's
yep.
a really. So if you get a chance to read that,
Yeah,
Amanda,
okay.
there's a really nice
Yeah.
just how, you know, the support that kids need.
Right.
And I'm thinking they need a little bit more support
Yeah.
with,
Yeah.
they need a lot of support right
Right,
now. They need
right.
support just to read it
Yep.
and to focus. And clearly they can read it. It's not like the book's
Right.
too hard because they're able to go read it and
Yes.
they're getting it. They're having
Yep.
good conversations, but they're needing support getting through the reading, and then they're also needing to get support with the writing.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that they're not yet there where we want them to be is like they're just disappointed. You know, it's hard. Like the last
Right.
thing they want to do is go
Right.
back and read or write.
Right.
So I think this kind of support
Yeah.
would help.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thoughts on that or?
Yeah. No, I think that's a great idea.
Okay.